just want to make sure.
Loud and clear, Karla, loud and
Okay,
clear.
perfect. So let me go ahead and share my screen. First thing, I want to thank you guys for sharing the time with us today to get learning more about our business. Let me just go ahead and get this right here. Okay, right here it is. Okay, I'm still getting used to this, but we got this. All right, perfect. So today I will actually be going over the interview process in the cold market. So definitely want to welcome you guys to JF Mastery 101. This is Karla Ruby Garcia. So in the beginning, I had a completely different outlook. A lot of it had to do with my level of growth at that time. I did have a very low self-esteem. I didn't really believe in myself, so I did have some doubt. I was very passive. I used to overthink like too much. I have my moments, but it's a lot better with reflecting. I used to be like super nervous. I would like get shiny. I would like sweat. You know how they say it takes blood, sweat, and tears? Okay, that legit, it's very true. Because I remember in Atlanta, that's where I had to go through a surgery, and that's where I did go through the whole blood situation. But I did, out of all of them, sweating definitely was one of the things I had to overcome the most. So I did end up leading to insanity. You know what they say, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So there was a time where my upline, she actually wasn't a part of the business anymore. So I pretty much just kind of started just taking initiative, doing interviews on my own. But the thing was, I kept getting the same results, and I was just like, I didn't know how to progress from there until finally I realized I had to change something, which was myself. And that was my self-development. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys some tips on how to overcome and do a mind shift on interviewing. So finally, I did have to decide to commit myself to self-development to go ahead and help me overcome those negative thoughts and feelings. It's totally normal. You know, a lot of us start off in this business completely different. As time progresses, you will not only learn about finances, but learn more about yourself and the human ability. So I did expose myself to more positivity. I would listen to podcasts of successful people to learn how they interact and think and different ways of how they are. Of course, I'm still learning today as I go. I always see that there's room for improvement. YouTube is definitely a great resource on that. You can find like everything on there. And so I definitely recommend to just look around on YouTube. Now, the second thing is I definitely had to just gain experience. So a lot of people, maybe you guys might know about the star personality. I'm actually RT, so T is one of my dominant traits. So I used to tend to overthink everything. And so finally I had to realize I just have to do it in order to learn from that. So they did say experience is the teacher of all things. In recruiting, there are no good or bad experiences, just learning experiences. And the only source of knowledge is experience. So I realized like that was really the only way I was going to overcome my fears, overcome my doubts. And as time progressed, like it's definitely helped a lot. Number three, definitely is tonality. So one thing I did learn about that, I want to give a huge shout out to Michelle Wells. I learned a lot from her on that aspect but she's an A-type personality, which is a blessing that I've got to be exposed around A-type personalities. So they're very, they just go for it, which is amazing. And one time I got the chance to observe her doing an interview, and I saw that she didn't like follow the script, and I was just like, Karla, like, and she got results, and I was just amazed. I was like, I saw that her energy in itself, her passion, her conviction, that is what really moves people. That's what really attracts people. And that's why I say it's not always what you say, but how you say it. And so I want to give her a huge shout out because it was really a liberating moment for me to finally just forget that limiting belief and just going for it regardless. So thank you, Michelle. And then the next thing is you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So of course, I mean, not everybody is going to be open-minded. It's okay. One thing I had to overcome was rejection. I didn't like rejection in the beginning, but as time progressed, I realized it has nothing to do with you when you get rejected. It just has to do with their perspective, their way they are. So it's completely fine. And it's okay. Sometimes, everybody has their path, and not everybody knows their past, but everybody has their path. So just keep finding and keep talking to people. Eventually you will find the right people. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into it exactly. And so it's gonna be the interview process that I do with Coal Market. So the first thing is you want to meet and greet with them. So definitely I always break the ice with some small talk. I do ask questions I'm gonna for sure get an answer to. Of course, you want to open up with, hey, how's your day so far? Definitely want to smile. That's what I put in a smiley face. It warms up people. And then you just say your name. So for example, I'm Karla, nice to meet you. And then you should already know where they're from. So I do ask, were you born and raised in San Diego? Were you born and raised in California? Especially our expansion. The great thing is now we can like go in different states. So you can say different states. Do you have a lot of family in California? You want to just have an idea. Like usually people, when they go to interviews, they don't tend to ask these questions. So they're going to feel that open. They're going to feel more, especially if it's Coal Market, you still don't have a relationship. So kind of like smooths it into the interview. And then when we spoke, I know that you mentioned that you currently are working, they aren't working, maybe they're a student. And then I'd like to just ask questions. Questions that I'm going to get an answer to, like how long have you been working there? How long have you not been working? And I included that because of the whole pandemic. So maybe they might not be working. What are you studying? And then do you keep your career options open? So just kind of just have a conversation with them. And this will actually give you an opportunity to help identify their star personality. And then I transition. So the reason I reached out is because our company is aggressively expanding, especially during these challenging times when families really need our help and are in need of a financial coach. So at the moment, are you currently looking more to make extra part-time income or maybe a possible career change? So then they'll tell you, and they'll help you already identify like what they're looking for at that moment in their lives. So we are highly regulated on the state and federal level. So we are required to go through a state background check, and you have a clean record, right? So you want to ask it like that. Before conducting an interview, just make sure that you already know they have a clean record. That way you don't waste their time, you don't waste your time. So it'll just go smoothly. And then, okay, perfect. So then we're going to go into the steps of qualification. So there are steps of qualification in order to qualify to work with us. The first step is you do have to have a clean record, which you already do. And then you check. What I would do is have the actual like the whiteboard that we have, and then just do a little check. The second step is you'll need the interviewer's approval, which is myself. And the third step is you'll need to get certain licenses and certifications, which I'll go more into detail in a bit. Before telling about who we are, what we do, and why we're aggressively expanding, I definitely want to get to meet you. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and then we'll go from there. And then I ask these questions more to just identify their star personality and then just to have that interaction. At the same time, majority of the people are used to these kind of interview questions. So it won't be like, it won't be odd for them. Like it's normal, it's natural. So I asked them, these are the 3 questions. If you could describe yourself in a few words or a short sentence, how would you describe yourself? Yourself. And then, by the way, WFA means wait for answer, just in case of you weren't too sure. And then when it comes to working in a team project, do you work better alone and or with the team? So I like to ask that just because, of course, they're both very important, but it just shows like kind of see how they're in the team environment and if they're more, excuse me, I just had enchiladas, and if they're independent. And then the third one is, what do you consider to be your strengths? And it can be in any area. So pretty much just hear them out. Maybe some people's strengths is doing artwork, and they'll already show like that they're creative, or maybe they enjoy they're very maybe punctuality, so they'll show you that that structure is important, so they'll show that they're an S. So that it's just really just so you can identify their star personality. At the same time, these are questions that are very important. I mean, if they're gonna be in our team, we're gonna be working with them. You want to make sure it's somebody that's a good fit for you and the team. And then, okay, awesome. So those are the questions I wanted to ask. So now that I got to meet you a bit better, I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly who we are, what we do, and why we're aggressively expanding. And then, so I do the presentation. So then you go ahead and do the presentation. And then I do show the IBA page and compensation differently, mostly not to overwhelm them with information, especially because it's cold market. So the trust and relationship isn't as strong yet. So that's why I go ahead and do it the way I do it. So after finishing the presentation, I always end it. So wouldn't you agree that what we do is really helpful for families? And I nod my head. So there's one thing I learned from my upline a long time ago. You nod your head while you ask. That way, like, monkey see, monkey do. So they'll agree with you. So honestly, what I like about you is blank, blank, blank. So you go all out, you give them positive feedback on what you, on the questions that you ask them, make them feel special. You know, they're not used to that kind of interview style where they get that good feedback. So of course, we're not corporate America. It's completely different here. And I make that clear, like, this is not a corporate America job, but at the same time, we don't want to like scare them or like overwhelm them with opportunity just yet, just because they're not exposed to this kind of, America's like a whole new other world. It's amazing here, but not everybody has that mentality just yet. For example, like myself, I had a lot of doubt in the beginning. I was kind of like, I even did my research. Thankfully, my best friend at the, she's an A also. So she was like, nah, let's just go. Like, don't worry about it. So definitely, it's normal if people have different viewpoints. And then I go ahead and transition. So of course you have my approval. So welcome to the team. Usually I'll go ahead and shake their hand, but I know everything's being done virtually. So just make sure you like welcome them. They'll feel your energy. They'll feel your warmth and stuff. And then, so this is how and then I go into, okay, so now you qualify to work with us. I'm gonna go and show you how we get paid. So regardless, okay, so I go ahead and show them how they get paid. I still have the script. I'm still doing it and it's in progress. But if you guys want, or actually this will be recorded. So I'll go ahead and explain how I do it, but this is what I write down. So due to time purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and go over several services. One of them being auto and home insurance and life insurance, which is your state license that you'll be getting. So in auto and home insurance, the good thing is we don't have to be experts in that area. We actually have specialists who do all the work for us. It's a quick 15, 20-minute call. What they do is just go ahead and see if we can help a family save money or get a better plan. For example, if they help them save money in the area of auto insurance, you would get paid $50. Home insurance, $25. So that's a total of $75. So wouldn't you agree that making $75 in a few minutes is good extra part-time income? And I also nod my head. Okay, perfect. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you how we help families with our state license, which is in the area of life insurance. And I'll use a number from the presentation, how we help that family from paying, I think they're paying like $225 a month to now $80 a month. So I'll use that specific calculation. So for example, the example I showed you earlier, I'll show you how much you would have gotten paid for helping them out. So this family is now paying $80. So they save money, they got a better plan. Every year in 12 months, they pay around $960. So have you ever been paid based on a contract level before? Usually they'll say no. And I'll be like, okay, no worries. I'll go ahead and explain it to you. So once you qualify to work with us, you automatically get contracted at 25%. So the way it works, usually it takes 2 to 3 hours to help a family. In the beginning, I'll round it up to 3 hours just because usually a lot of us don't have experience. So usually it'll take a little longer. So what we do is we get 25% of $960, and that is $240. So would you agree that making $240 in 3 hours of work is good extra part-time income? And then they'll say yes. And then I'll transition to, and do you like having the opportunity to get promoted? And then they always say yes. Okay, perfect. So we have that here as well. So now I'm doing the same amount of work at a 50% contract level will now be $480. And the great thing about that, by then you have way more experience, it'll be a lot quicker. Now, would you agree that making $480 in 3 hours of work is good extra part-time income? And then they'll say yes. And I'll be like, okay. And right now, do you actually have an idea, like what's the hourly wage? Approximately. Usually they'll say different numbers. Just to keep it easy for them, I'll just use $15. That way it's not too low, too high. It's like in the middle. I was like, okay, for example, let's just use $15. So now what we do, we multiply that by 3, and that's $45. Would you rather get paid $45 in 3 hours of work or $240 in 3 hours of work? They always say $240, and so I always circle that, and then I say, perfect. So that's exactly why the company pays us per client rather than per hour, because of our state license. Even though we don't have all the experience, we get compensated like that because of our state license. Just like doctors have a professional license, lawyers, so do we. So even though we don't have the experience, that's why we get paid like that. And one thing I like to mention, it'll also enhance your resume. So it'll help you out also for any future opportunities. And then from there, after that, I go ahead and transition to the state's approval. So now, of course, we need the state's approval. So if you actually go to any other finance firm like Allstate, Geico, or State Farm, getting the same licenses and certifications we get would cost around $1,000. And I would point at the presentation where it shows the $399 for the state license, $600 for the securities. Now, of course, Primerica understands that not everyone has $1,000 to invest, and we're actually here to make a difference. So Primerica is actually willing to pay for all of our licenses and certifications, and only asks us to cover our state background check, which is only $99. And that goes directly to the Department of Insurance, which is a lot better than $1,000, right? And they always agree. And we actually get our own online business support system for only $25, which will help you study to pass your state exam. And it includes a lot of training tools. And that itself is a value of $105 a month. And it'll show you on the 99 page, so you can point that out. And it also covers our investment license that is value of $600. And then they'll see it right there on the IBA page. And once we input your application and you get your solution number, which is our identification in the company, we'll be helping you to work towards a unlimited training bonus and getting licensed and promoted with us. So knowing that, would there be any issue for you to cover your state background check today? And then of course I nod my head as you ask them. If they say no, perfect, you just proceed with, actually, I made a mistake right there. So actually you just proceed and then go to the IBA Turbo app on Primerica app. I'll go ahead and fix it, but you already showed the compensation. Don't worry about that one. And then if they say that they do have a problem, you just find out why, figure out a solution, and then proceed from there. So that's actually all of it. Thank you guys for your time. And if anyone would like a copy of the PowerPoint, you can definitely contact me at any of those. I have my cell phone number, Instagram, or Messenger. All right, thank you guys. Hope you guys learned something tonight, and let's do this.